Hey, it's Robert Clickybeard, the host of the Commercial Landscaper podcast. These podcasts challenge you to grow as a leader, to stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone, and to 10x your company. I really encourage you to enjoy the show, share it with teammates, fellow business owners, and subscribe. That helps us grow our community. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper podcast. Really excited today to be joined by Scott Hutcheon. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much, Robert. Super excited to chat with you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on. So you've got some great information to share for our audience. Why don't you tell people just a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So landscape architecture degree, 98. Been doing design build for quite a number of years, and then got into building vertical gardens and green roofs. So green infrastructure throughout the US. Around 2017, built a company called ShrubHub. It's a landscape design platform where users anywhere around the world can log in, secure a design package, and then we kind of pair them up with designers, create 3D designs, and then we work with a ton of growers throughout the US and drop ship plants to them. That's kind of like, my background and setup into HeyFlora.
And what happened with that business? Is that something that is still around? Do you sell it or what?
Yeah, they're both still around. So we still build, green infrastructure for big builders, architects, and contractors such as Brightview, Park West. Work with those guys. Yeah, ShrubHub is still. Yeah, we operate that every day.
So how do you see the industry? Because there's obviously a lot of things happening in the industry. You have a lot of consolidation, a lot of M&A going around. There's software coming in. There's the aspires, the bosses. There just seems to be a lot more. You talk about AI. What do you see from your perspective?
Yeah, we've been just chatting with so many landscape management companies over the last year as we've been building HeyFlora. The pain points are like resounding and very clear. And everyone has like at least 10 systems, 10 softwares, and just fragmented, disparate kind of independent like data silos essentially. And it's, not one single sign-on, multiple logins, very, fragmented. So that, and just kind of like accessing company knowledge for the right user at the right time and the right place in every user type in the company. So AI really solves that. We're building systems, agents around what we're doing.
But before I jump into that, how do you see that affecting some of the staffing needs for companies? Are you seeing less staffing needed? Are you seeing people coming in with different skill sets to be able to sort of analyze that data and be able to put that data to making better decisions?
Yeah, we're really simplifying things, for people, making decisions easier, having more correlated, data at their fingertips to make decisions quicker. If people have Aspire over here and a Zuga over here and fleet metrics over here, the idea is to really like correlate intelligence across all three of those at the same time. So we're building out a simple user interface that you can chat with our Flora agents that in real time correlates, 10 different softwares all at once. And so the amount of like intelligence for every user type is pretty phenomenal. So yeah, that's kind of like, that's kind of the backbone.
I usually get asked this question about, give us specifics. If you see, for example, you have a crew out on a job site, maybe limited English, and they're wanting to use some type of help. Maybe they're stuck in some type of scenario they're stuck in. Is that something that would apply to your system? Would they be able to look at the app and come up with some type of solution?
Obviously we've got a lot of intelligence at the back end, but we're creating a lot of more landscape specific workflows. So the guys in the field can chat bilingual English, Spanish, with our Flora agents and just say, hey, Flora, we're spraying fertilizer. Is it a problem if it goes on the neighboring property? So it's going to come back. It's super important for us that we have all of the data backed up in our system. So obviously, ChatGPT and whoever else, they kind of hallucinate. And so it's super important for us to deliver, the intelligence, contextual intelligence that is grounded. We have, say in landscape, there's maybe 10 governing bodies between MWELO, ANSI, ISA, Firewise, OSHA. So we're pulling that from our database and delivering those citations within every Flora response.
And assuming that's all different levels within the landscape company, from the field worker to an account manager to an operations manager to designer, architect type level?
Everybody, all user types.
I hear one of the challenges that people still question. People get nervous about that, but the accuracy of the data and reliant on the results it comes up with. How do you deal with that type of challenge or pushback?
Yeah, for sure. That's a huge concern from the get for us. So when you're going out to the World Wide Web, and then chat's bringing back kind of something that sounds great but may not be. So for us, everything needs to be as hard coded as possible in our knowledge base. So there's a technology called RAG. It's retrieval augmentation generation. And that's kind of like as of last year, that's kind of a step change in the AI, in that you can create a knowledge base for the company. And so that's where we're pulling in with APIs, all of their fragmented systems. And they can also upload documents into their kind of like company brain, so to speak. And so instead of like ChatGPT querying the internet, you're querying your own company brain. So that's all hard coded, and there's no way for it to hallucinate because it's coming directly back. So the AI is reasoning. So the RAG is basically the AI kind of reasons on top of your knowledge and delivers it in creative ways. That's kind of like a little bit of the secret of what guys like us do, is we can prompt that and have it correlate things in certain ways and deliver it in a contextual, concise way.
One of the challenges I always come across when people do their strategic planning is, oh, we want to do 20% more training, or we want to build out 80% of our SOPs. I mean, it sounds like this potentially could be whether it be a full solution or partial solution to be able to accelerate that type of roadblock people have.
Yeah, with accessing SOP information and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Not only accessing it, but developing SOPs. Some people think, oh, I want to develop, they have a vague idea what an SOP is, but actually somebody sitting down and actually developing one from scratch is probably one of the biggest roadblocks I see.
Yeah, we see that too. So we have an SOP generator module, and we call it ground rules. We've got everything where if someone came in and said, hey, we want SOPs for a whole company, we have those. And that's just based on our experience, best practices, and then they can integrate their company culture and vision and automatically kind of like makes it their own. And so, we can incubate them with that, or they can create them from scratch as well with kind of an AI generator tool that we have.
One of the challenges I also see is people understand vaguely what AI is, or bots are, but they don't understand how to give it clear instructions to be able to get the information out of the system.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that piece in terms of either the training or some guidelines around how to maximize what's already in your system?
A lot of what we're doing is a lot of prompting in the background, which does make it easier. But per user type in the company, in our Flora chat interface, we have a drop down that is reasoning at all times and understands the context and will give you suggestions as to what to ask even. So there's always that there, which is super helpful to understand the right questions.
I like that. How do you see this being adopted within companies? I mean, where do you see this playing out over the next 2, 3, 4 years? I mean, is this going to allow people to be more, perhaps hire less labor, have less technical staff in the team? What does it look like in your crystal ball?
Within the phase of where we're at with AI, you kind of start with a manual process, and now we're kind of like have agents that are like assistive, and they are agents, and it's great. But where we are going is really the machine learning side of things, where we've built the foundation of a self-learning architecture or self-learning system. And so we see in 2026 what we call ambient ops, which is multi-agents in the background, all working in parallel with each other to coordinate and solve problems, monitor, and automate at every role in various ways. We see 2026 being like agent swarms, if you've heard of that, like 1, 2, now we can just do 1,000 that just like coordinate in the background. It gets getting there. 26, we see that.
Just trying to picture this in my head. So you've got all these different data sources. You have, smart controllers. You have GPS on your trucks. You have data coming from your fuel supplier. My list could go on and on, but I mean, if you're able to connect the dots with a lot of those things to really, improve either crew efficiency, routing, I mean, it sounds too good to be true.
What we have version 1 today for us is very different than what's coming. And what's coming for us is what we call mycelium. In the business, everyone knows mycelium is kind of like that vast network of fungal network underground. That's the connecting intelligence for landscapes and trees. It shares nutrients, it shares intelligence. We're doing the same thing, but except for software and data. So on the top, instead of trees, you have Aspire, QuickBooks, Salesforce, Element, Boss, all these guys, and then below you have the unified intelligence layer of HeyFlora, or guys like us. And we're really consolidating everything down into this Flora chat interface, and just trying to simplify all the fragmented systems. So there's one scenario that I can tell you. So user question, which contract should I be paying attention to right now? Aspire margins are tightening on 3 properties. Ramp expenses are trending up, and Azuga data shows repeated access delays. I've highlighted these contracts and recommended corrective actions. So it's, pulling bits and pieces from 1, 2, 3, 10 different softwares at the same time and coming up with contextual insights. And then from there, with our agents doing action-oriented things.
Let's take a minute to thank our sponsors. Hutcheon is a life brand born from grit, founded by Zach Strausser. The mission is clear: to raise $1 million for the trades by supporting vocational training across North America. Hutcheon makes tough, smart gear built for landscaping and snow professionals who work hard outside every day in all conditions. Their apparel puts safety first, helps crews look sharp, and honors the pride in their craft. Every purchase has purpose, fueling training programs and building a resilient workforce. Hutcheon isn't just workwear, it's a culture of respect, resilience, and results. When you contact Hutcheon, mention Wilson 360 and Zach and his team will take well care of you. Yeah, it gets me thinking there. Now, going back to a point I made earlier, a lot of that porting is obviously reliant on the correct input going into it. But at least if you have some type of a prompt saying, hey, you need to look at these contracts, they're underperforming, then you're going to go in and you'll investigate and maybe you'll figure out the guys are not, entering their time, or maybe they've got surrounding properties and their time's not being split up between all the different locations. But you doing that deeper analysis will uncover that type of stuff, whereas perhaps it was hidden before. Is that fair? Seeing that?
Yeah, you nailed it. And I think where we're going with the ambient kind of agents in the background, it's going to know to kind of suggest as well. So instead of trying to figure out what to ask, it's going to nudge you and say, hey, I've analyzed, 5 different, of your softwares, and this is what you should be doing. So it's kind of a lot of that is where we see, things going.
Where do you see things? You talked about where you'll see it in the end of 2026. Where do you see it end of 28? How's it going to keep on developing? What are landscape companies going to be looking like?
Yeah, hopefully higher margins and more profitability with the same people, not getting rid of staff, just making them more powerful, more stronger. I see, we're talking with a few AI glass manufacturers at the moment. So we feel like that's the next form factor, especially for trades work in the field where they need to be hands-free, especially, just chatting with Flora, bilingual, snapping pictures with your glasses, taking video, understanding the environment. Flora can just say, hey, there's a branch that might break, watch out, whatever. We see that as being like a training set for then robotics, I think. But I think for sure that's the next is form factor is the glasses.
No, it's good. That's because I think one of the biggest challenges I see, and you probably see it all the time, is getting that transparency or that communication back to the clients. Clients are unable to go out to those properties, maybe then receiving complaints. If you're a bit more transparent and you're real-time information going back about some of the challenges, whether it be landscape related or other issues like graffiti on the property, then that could be a big game changer. Talk about building trust.
We have a module we call Field Snaps, and so yes, we're bringing in all these data sources, but what's equally as important is creating a living memory of project sites every day. So what are the guys doing in the field, and how's that getting translated for customer success, like you allude to? We've broken it down into 5 different reasons why you need to do a field snap, and it's something that needs to be fixed, changed. Hey, this is done. Watch out for this, or something that's like a safety related. So guys can literally walk around, chat with Flora, just ramble, and then snap photos. The AI kind of ingests all of that and comes up with reasoning and understanding, analyzing every pixel, in a video and picture. And then from there, guys in the field can say, hey, at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, hey, Flora, create a weekly service report for this property. And then they can just send it to their customer with an instant branded proposal or report. We see that as a huge pain point for people going back to the office every day, creating these reports with pictures and text, and we're automating all that with AI.
What are some of the challenges or roadblocks you see? I mean, unfortunately, our industry does tend to be a little bit slow about picking up on new ideas and new trends, almost like other people try it first and fail, and then eventually once it's fixed, they'll maybe jump in. But what are some of the adoption challenges you see or have seen so far?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're really just saying like, hey, industry, here's like your new workflow. Like, it's kind of crazy just to say that. Like, we see it being conversational, just chatting to access all these other apps and get intelligence. It's just a whole new workflow. So, I mean, you nailed it. It's like, it's a little bit of a learning curve for sure. Getting data into the knowledge base is definitely, the first month, it's a hurdle. Everyone has, other ways that they hold their software via Google Drive, SharePoint, whatever it is. So it's getting that in there. Yeah, it's a hurdle, but I think what agents and AI does is it saves you time and ultimately money and more profitability. We're able to, some KPIs around that show like there is time savings for a lot of what we're doing, and people see that.
What are some of the initial wins that you see to build that trust? Because obviously, if you're opening up something like a Google Drive, maybe you have a list of all your clients, maybe you have a list of all your prices. So there's obviously some hesitation there, but what have you seen as being some early wins that help to get people on board?
Maybe I can talk about. So we have a AI design studio module we call Vibescaping, and a lot of landscape management companies really make their margins on enhancement work, and so that's what that targets. So instead of creating an okay report, a proposal that took a long time, hours, days, it's creating instant branded proposals, before and after images in minutes, and they're stunning. And it's horticulturally correct per zip code in the US. That, we could do before and afters. We can do, winter, spring, summer, fall, nighttime videos, top-down views, and AI is able to get really scary close now on exact quantities and square footages in proposed designs. So it's that's a quick win. Like, to answer your question, that's a quick win for people.
Yeah. No, I remember we did a lot of renderings for our clients, and probably at least doubled our closure rate, just because people love that, seeing that instant rendering, what a property would look like before and after.
Yeah,
so that was huge. How did companies find out more? How did they get in touch with you? What would be the next steps if somebody's listening to this and saying, I need to look at HeyFlora and find out what the next steps are? What would you recommend?
Yeah, HeyFlora.ai. There's, book a demo, or they can email me directly, Scott@HeyFlora.ai.
Well, Scott, this sounds super intriguing. Definitely going to check out myself. But this sounds really exciting, and I like where you see companies going, or this going, over the next 1-3 years, and look forward to keeping in touch.
I've been listening to your podcast for a while, Robert, and you're great, man. You're such a champion for the industry, so I really appreciate you, man.
No, thank you. I love people like you coming on and sharing the knowledge and what's going on in the industry. So I appreciate you stepping up and coming on. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I hope you're walking away with some great nuggets that you can immediately apply to your business, whether you're in leadership, operations, or you just want to show up every day with that Ironman mindset. Remember, growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens with intentional moves, bold conversations, and surround yourself with the right people. If you found value today, subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with others. And again, don't forget to check out Wilson-360.com. We have digital courses from account management, operational excellence, leadership development, or some of the other coaching packages we offer. Anyway, huge shout out to our sponsors. Thank you very much. And I'll leave with this. Have a pure, dead, brilliant day.